know I've shared with you some of my stories before. The war stories of working over at the flagship. I told you about the one time where I asked to talk about the Astros, in the midst of their first World Series run. And my boss brought me in to the office, removed his eyebrow ring, pulled out a pair of brass knuckles, and punched me right in the nads and said, "You'll talk about the Texans." And I have to talk about the Texans. I know that I'm free from the flagship now, but I must talk about what happened at training camp yesterday. Will you humor me? We're going to spend the majority of the time, the rest of this baseball season until the NFL season kicks off, talking about the Astros, okay? Am I allowed to? I'm not going to go full wheelhouse and, spend half the show talking about Texans training camp. We're just doing it right here. Just right here. Okay? Oh, Sean, you son of a bitch. Oh, I haven't heard Clay Walker in a while. Now, this might get us more canceled than the misogynistic stuff that our callers said earlier in the show. But hey, guys, it's football time in Houston. It's finally here. So here's what happened in the quarterback room yesterday. CJ Stroud threw another interception. He's thrown 3 interceptions thus far to Steven Nelson. It was a pass intended for Tank Dell. He's got 6 for 13 on the day. 3 incompletions were the fault of wide receivers with drops. He also, in the 2-minute drill, was not able to score with the offense. They're having a tough time moving the football. And I got to say, as much as I hate to admit it, Davis Mills has looked better at quarterback the last couple of practices. He once again made a ridiculous throw where he probably would have been sacked. Much like it was Will Anderson the last time. We said he made a great throw downfield. This time it was Jalen Petrie who would have sacked him. But he made a great cross-body throw to Nico Collins, 40-plus yards downfield over Jimmy Ward and Steven Nelson. Big deal or no big deal? Davis Mills has been playing better than CJ Stroud. I'm still saying it's no big deal because it's going to be Stroud's ultimately, but I want to hear about an awesome day by Stroud. That's all I want. Just one day, as opposed to hearing that the only reason that Mills was stopped in the 2-minute drill was because of a bad snap by his center, and that he also made a 20-yard throw downfield in this practice that took place on Tuesday. I need to hear good things about Stroud.
Yeah, can small deal be a option? Because it might be kind of a, yeah. No big deal, but I'm starting to.
It's not a small deal yet. It's still no big deal.
Okay, so no big deal, but CJ, come on.
Big deal or no big deal, the first team defensive front, per our guy DJ Bieneme, has shut off running lanes. Well, I will say that's a big deal because they were so bad against the run last year. So bad. And you're hoping that as a result of Sheldon Rankins being back, that the defensive line is just a little bit better. Don't you love this part of the Football Time in Houston song, by the way?
Strength. The Texans are about to
march.
Toro's getting ready to charge.
Oh. The mascot, though. They don't have a bull. All right, that's enough Clay Walker. We're probably going to be canceled now. Whoa. Well, that part is pretty good. I don't think I've ever heard this far into the song.
We're deep into the song.
We are really deep. Okay, more things coming out of Houston, Texas training camp yesterday. Henry To'o. I hope I got the name right every single time.
I think you did. I think you nailed it. That's how they say it.
Every single time I see it, Sean, I'm intimidated to say it.
That's how his family says it.
He had a nice tackle for a loss, and he made up for a mistake that he had made the day before in practice on the very same play. So that's nice. Linebacker room seems like there's more competition. I think that is a big deal. Blake Cashman, in addition to Christian Harris. It's nice to see some young names that are making plays out there. Is it a big deal? Does that mean that Christian Kirksey is going to be moved to the side? He's been out of practice the last couple of practices. I do not know, but it does seem like of all the guys on the roster, Kirksey, with his cap figure this year, is the one that's likely to be a not even surprise cut. I feel like he is an easy clip for the Nick Caserio and company.
And between the linebackers playing well and the running lanes being shut off for the running back, the entire front seven has apparently looked awesome. You expect some of that in the first week in pads, but also that is when you hire DeMeco Ryans as a defensive coordinator and the sell is like, well, let's see what he did with the linebackers in San Francisco. He's apparently already paying at least some dividends.
Exactly.
So I think it is kind of a big deal, not just because of Blake Cashman, but it's a big deal for what it means going forward for the Texans.
Listen, all I want is for the Texans to not give up 300 yards on the ground to a team with a quarterback that's actually a running back. I'm talking about Justin Fields. Oh, Paul, that's racially coded. I mean, Justin Fields isn't a good passer yet. He might be someday.
I thought you were talking about Malik Willis.
Malik Willis.
I think they gave up 200 running yards to both the Bears and Titans.
They gave up 200 yards in that game. That was
they
the
gave
game.
up 200 to Derrick Henry.
Well,
one of the games.
That Texans-Titans game was the one where I walked into the bowels of the stadium, walked a lap, and considered killing myself. And by that, I mean just like ending my radio career and quitting because I was like, I don't love football anymore because the Texans make me so sad. There have been too many Sundays, whether it's Brock Osweiler or Tom Savage or Davis Mills, where, I haven't liked it. Oh, also Dalton Schultz was out of practice again. So hopefully he's healthy. Brevin Jordan wasn't in practice either. So at tight end, big position for the Texans. You're hoping it's better. There you go. And that's going to wrap up our conversation about Houston Texans training camp. Thank you for allowing me to get it off my chest. I can't help it. I just can't keep all these hot Texans takes in. I can't. I've been conditioned by the flagship through flagellation and torture, waterboarding, having my family kidnapped. I've had all of those things happen while at the flagship.
Yeah, you cannot go one day without talking about training camp news and notes.
Right.
And that's because of the way you're conditioned.
Right. Like, the Astros could have won the World Series. But let's talk about Deshaun Watson's torn ACL the whole show. Did that actually happen? You're thinking to yourself, wait, that actually might have happened.
It might have happened.
It might have happened. That's the place that I used to work at. Is this the same place that said that, hey, Paul, you got to come home from, your only sister's wedding the next day with a 7 a.m. flight so that you can do the post-game show updates for a Texans-Rams game where the Rams are going to win 41-7? Yeah. They made me feel guilty about staying with my family, both sides, all together for probably the last time I'll ever see any of them all together because I'm not getting married anytime soon. My options are running out, as my mother said. Yeah, they did that. Thank you for allowing me.
They didn't make your options run out. I do want to clear some things up. They didn't make your options run out. They're not the reason. Well, man, they might be a reason you're not getting married, but
they are. They
part of the reason.
The Texans are the reason I haven't been married yet. 100%. I couldn't date anybody.
Yeah,
couldn't date anybody for a while because I had to work weeknights. At the flagship, talk about the same thing for 4 hours every single night. Thank you for allowing me to use you as my therapist.